So my name's Marc Barnes, and I'm the president and owner of Integrated Resource Management. We're a full-service forestry consulting firm based in Philomath, Oregon, and we manage forest lands for small and medium-sized forest landowners, and we do quite a bit of forest inventory work, which involves going out in the forest and measuring trees and measuring vegetation and measuring down wood trees that are laying down on the ground. And this is Adrian Thayer. He's one of the cruisers that work for me. He's been with us for 4 years now, and his primary duty is to go out in the forest and take these measurements on a daily basis. I started the business back in 1993 because I believe that we should be practicing forestry in a more sustainable way and managing for all the resources out here in the forest rather than just the timber resources. And we've been using data recorders now since the beginning of my business, and even before that when I was working for other firms. And we've been a TDS reseller now for a Ranger reseller now for 6 years, and been using the Rangers as pretty much exclusively for all the forest inventory work we've done. We found them to be very reliable, and I don't think we've ever lost any data that we've collected with a Ranger due to a hardware problem. We have lost data due to software issues. And so I think we've been pretty happy with the product overall. We do a lot of data collection, so we actually invented this harness that holds the Ranger. We call it the Joey harness, and it's actually a product that we sell through our business exclusively.
Well, I do a lot of work up in the Tillamook Forest, which basically analyzes the components of an entire stand of timber, and I do write-up forums on them when I'm done, and a lot of times I've made suggestions about how the stand can be utilized for multiple uses, based on streams and steep slopes that might need to be left unlogged forever to protect the streams. I've suggested areas that maybe recreational trails can be put in one of the few remaining old growth patches I've been in, and I also suggest some management options, like in a very overstocked timber stand. I'll suggest some pre-commercial or commercial thinning, or once in a while I'll even suggest clear cutting if the trees are extremely diseased.
And a lot of the data we collect in Western Oregon in these temperate rainforests, that information for most of our clients, which are usually state and federal agencies, they use that to basically model how the stands are going to grow in the long run and how to basically restore the forest to a more multi-species, multi-age type forest. And the Tillamook State Forest, which we do a lot of work for, they have a goal to basically grow bigger, older stands of timber over the next 200 years, and all this data we collect for them is used to basically come up with prescriptions to do that. So about 4 years ago, I was up near Lake Detroit in the Cascades, and we'd started an inventory up there. It had a relatively new employee working for us, and I'd picked him up in the afternoon when he got done with his stand and got his vest off and his Ranger off, and supposedly threw it all in the back of the pickup. And so we took off down the highway, and we're cruising down the highway, and we hear this sort of like screeching noise from the roof of the rig, and I didn't know what it was, and we heard it again, and then next thing I know, I hear this thump, and I look out the back window, and the Ranger's bouncing down the highway. And so we stopped, and good thing nobody else ran over it because there was a bunch of cars behind us. And got back to it, and the Ranger was in one piece, and the screen was broken, and it wouldn't turn on. But we took it back to the office, and it had a lot of really valuable data on it, so we sent it down to TDS, and they ended up basically extracting the data out of it for us and repairing the screen, and it all ended up pretty happily. We're still using that unit, and we got all the valuable data off of it. So yeah, they're pretty rugged. I gotta hand it to the unit to be able to take falling on a concrete going 50 miles an hour. So I think that's my most rugged experience with it, and I don't think we've ever had anything else highly adverse with the units, but they're beaten on every day in all sorts of weather conditions, and pouring rain, snow. Adrian's out in the woods literally 200 days a year in whatever the weather conditions might be, and collecting data. And like I said before, we never had a loss of data due to hardware issues. They've pretty much always worked and remained durable. So we're really happy with the product.
Well, up in the Tillamook Forest, working up around a place called Elk Creek, there's a lot of cliffs, and looking at the maps, I decided that I probably needed to bring a rope, a rappelling rope with me to do the inventory, and I ended up having to rappel down probably some 30 to 40 foot cliff bands, and well, my rappel rope got caught up in some brush halfway down, and I spent about 10 nerve-wracking minutes trying to untangle the knots while my arms got tired and I sat dangling on a cliff face.